What is happening, AJ Gamer Dude here, and this is an interesting thing. So I do want to ask first and foremost to the audience, what are your thoughts on tipping in general? I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who are going to be watching this video are American, and the reason why I specify that specifically is because tipping is a bloody weird practice that you guys are doing over there. It supplanted every single possible metric, and in fact people are supposed to work on non-livable wages with the hopes that tipping would actually cover the difference, but more often than not that does not seem to be the case. So while companies try and get away with paying people as little as possible, y'all are stuck with some really weird messianic version of what the original version of tipping was supposed to be. And so for someone like myself who is an outsider looking in, I just think, wow, tipping is a really weird thing, and if I was in America, as someone who is not American, I would never partake in the system of tipping because it seems pretty bloody rubbish in every sense of the word. So for some, pretty much the article here kind of says it all. Ex-Blizzard boss Mike Ybarra is saying, you know what? You should be able to give developers tips. Now, the problem with that stems from the fact that if we had the ability to do that, firstly, most people probably wouldn't do it. Secondly, developers are going to be paid even less than they already do because it feels like they just genuinely are not getting paid enough in a creative field, which already feels like it's just teeming too much with people who want money out of this industry where money seems to be ballooning, and it's corporatization kind of at its worst, with like the fact that, you know, quite a lot of companies are publicly traded, and so they have shareholders and things like that to the extent. So I feel like the Americanization of the whole system just seems like a really bad idea, because not a lot of people are going to be doing it, and the only people that do are those that are going to do it because they feel like they have to. In this case, more specifically, Americans. Unless there is like a way you can not tip and not be looked at, you know, negatively or anything just because someone provided you with good service. But the thing is that everyone should be providing good service at all times anyways, but I digress. So yeah, this certainly isn't going to help anyone because it's not going to actually help developers. The money that's being tipped, or which is the additional money that is added on in addition to the cost of the actual game itself that you've bought, the microtransactions that are included, that may include and not even be limited to stuff like battle passes, DLCs, expansions, loot boxes, and everything else of the like. But you're effectively paying money to get nothing in return, and that money that is being spent of you not getting anything is most likely going to fatten the wallet of the head of the company, the CEOs and the C-level suites, you know, the C-suite level people that actually work at the company, not the actual developers. I feel like we can all talk about how developers are going to benefit from us spending more and more money on games and things like that. But the problem is that since the past, that has never actually been true, which is weird which is actually funny to say as someone who has kind of seen the industry for quite some time now, for at least the last 20 years of being alive and actually playing games, partaking, and just kind of really being there. But the most important thing is really the idea that when DLCs were introduced, that was, people were going up in arms as to like, you're making additional content for a game that you've just released. Why is it that it feels like it was just carved out from the original release of the game, and that it's not just one single package that we could take? And then that devolved further into the addition of map packs in Call of Duty and stuff like that, which then devolved into story bits and pieces from, like, say, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, them being, you know, purchasable separately, and then being able to buy groups of them as season passes. Though I feel like that kind of made more sense with episodic games such as I don't know, 2012's The Walking Dead season 1, which was the Telltale game. That kind of, like, Telltale games certainly did make more sense with the season pass sort of model, and then that then evolved into loot boxes and things like that, and now having the concept of the battle pass. There have been more ways to spend money in games. That has increased. The amount of money people spend on games that aren't the games themselves have also increased. The expenses in paying people has increased, but the thing is that it doesn't feel like the gaming industry actually is paying people more to make games. Instead, it feels like that money is just being funneled upwards, and a lot of companies kind of, have been falling under that sort of weight. So that's just kind of what's been happening, and I certainly don't think that. I mean, it says here in the subtitle of the actual article itself, I know most will dislike the idea, and that much is pretty bloody obvious that, like, nobody is going to want to partake in that. In fact, there's a lot of games that do deserve a lot more money, but they don't ask for more, like Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring. But the thing is that Blizzard has not made games like that for well over 15 years at this point. It's been way too long since Blizzard has made a really, really good game. The last good game anyone probably would think of might be Diablo 3, and even then, that's pretty tepid ground. I feel like more people like StarCraft 2, Diablo 2, and Warcraft. I mean, WoW was still pretty big during that period of time as well, and that was around the time FF14 launched and then unlaunched at the same time, which was the early 2010s. Yeah, it really just isn't a viable option at all. Absolutely, that would not be the case. And in fact, there's a good point being made here that, like, Steam, the PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, would Valve, Sony, and Microsoft all expect a cut from the tips that are being done as well? How are the tips being facilitated? That is a really good point. This is a completely unnecessary, broken system that doesn't need to exist. There are a couple of games that have it, but this should not be a thing that AAA games should have or need to have, or just anything else in between. It is just completely not viable whatsoever. But that's my thoughts on the situation. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. I thought that this was an interesting thing to talk about that I had seen articles on, but I saw YouTubers talking about, and I wondered where did this all come from. Turns out it was all from the reporting of what Mike Ybarra, previous Blizzard CEO, said. And obviously, with him being, if he was still the CEO of Blizzard, like, he would be the one to benefit from it the most. But I digress. With all that said and done, let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 200 subs by the end of the year, and with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.